Hi guys, and welcome to the Ace Tanker for the T69, the Tier 8 American medium tank, the one that isn't a Pershing. It's the autoloader. Now recently I put up a replay from either Mr. Malik or Merdwin, I apologize if I can't remember who sent it in, with an absolutely amazing T69 game, and I spent a little bit of time during that replay talking about the tank. It's a tank that I like playing. It's a tank I enjoy playing. I think it's quite a good Tier 8 medium tank. It does have its problems, but it's a tank that was cursed for me. It's one of my cursed tanks. Everyone has cursed tanks, and the T69 was one of my cursed tanks. It's a tank that I just couldn't get the ace in. I mean, my stats in the tank are quite good, my average damage in the tank is quite good, my win rate in the tank is quite good. It's just that I could never ever have that one monster game to get the ace tanker, and no matter how many games or how many times I sat down to play this tank to try and get the ace, it just never happened. I'd finish plenty of games in first place, plenty of games in second place, but I just couldn't get the ace. I think I've got more first class badges on this tank than any other tank I've ever owned. This is my 211th game in the T69, and I haven't been able to ace it before now. So it was really becoming a huge weight on my shoulders as to whether or not I'd ever get an ace in this tank. But it happened. It did happen. And it wasn't an amazing game. I don't think this was an amazing game. I think I've had much better games in the T69. But for some reason, as I say, this one is the ace. And as it's the ace, it has to go up on the channel. But yeah, happy to have finally aced it. Happy to have finally stuck it in my reserves. And now I don't feel compelled to play it anymore. I've already aced it. I'll take it out on special occasions. And it's not as if I hate the tank. I think it's quite a good tank. It's just I don't suit the tank, or the tank doesn't suit me. Something like that. I don't think I play it badly, but I don't play it particularly well. And there are plenty of better T69 games on my channel from other players if you want to see this tank played a lot better. But anyway, we are here on Muravanka. It's an all Tier 8 game, which is a good matchup for the T69, because one of the problems the T69 has is its penetration. Now, the penetration isn't bad. It's a medium tank. It gets 173mm of penetration, but the T69 sees Tier 9s and sees Tier 10s. So trying to engage tanks frontally in the T69 is usually not a very good idea. The penetration on the standard AP isn't good enough. The premium ammo is good enough. It's got 250mm of penetration with heat. It carries 4 rounds in its clip, and that means that the average damage per clip is about 900, which is another problem with the tank. 900 damage is fine against some lower tier tanks, but when you're facing Tier 10s, Tier 9s, and a lot of Tier 8s, you're not going to be able to one-clip them. So you've got to time your attack, you've got to get in, do your damage, and get out so you can reload. And quite often, even if you manage to hit and pen every single shot, you're going to leave your victim on health. You're not going to be able to kill him. So there's a lot of timing involved in the T69, and as I say, a lot of players play this tank a lot better than I do. Let's just get going.
Let's get this show on the road.
Now, when I was playing this game, it was while I wasn't streaming. It was while my PC was down and I was waiting for a second monitor to work. So I wasn't streaming at the time, but I was back up and playing after getting my new PC. So I sat down one evening while I wasn't streaming and I decided, you know what, I'm tired of looking at the T69 in my garage. And I ended up playing 8 games in a row in this tank simply to get the ace tanker. I did it with 2 tanks actually, 2 of my cursed tanks. The T69 was the first of them, but it took me 8 games to get the ace tanker in this tank, and I did copy, or I did save the screenshots from the previous 8 games just to show you guys that, you know, I've done more damage, I do more, you know, I've gotten more kills, but for some reason I just could not get the ace. And I thought some of those games were better than this one. But anyway, it's Muravanka. I'm up here. I've got plenty of support in the 1-2 lines. Now, this guy's on 857 hit points, and I can potentially one-hit clip him, but I decide to go for the VK3601H instead. And there we go. We get 3 shots in. I've got 1 shot left in the clip, and I decide to go for a reload. Haven't been spotted, so the enemy team haven't sent too many tanks up here Or at least, if they have, they're not being aggressive, they're sitting back. But 811 damage with that clip. That was okay against a lower tier tank. Now, we've invested a lot of tanks on this flank, not so many over on the other flank, so I decide I've got to be a little bit more aggressive. Because if the enemy team haven't sent too many tanks over here, the tanks on the other flank are in danger of being overrun. And indeed, it looks as if they are being overrun. We've just lost a WZ-111. So I'm pushing forward to see whether or not I can get any more spots. We've got 6 tanks over here. Actually, we've got 8 tanks, 10 tanks over here, including Arty. But we've only come across 2 enemy tanks. So, nice shot into the T-34-2 on the move. And it's a question, as it's an autoloader, it's a question of do I reload or do I keep my 3 shots in the tank? And again, looking at the minimap, I decide to be aggressive because, as I say, most of the enemy team have gone over the other flank. So I've missed my shot, and I decide to go for a reload. I decide to retreat. 2 enemy RT in this game. So we've lost the other flank pretty much, and I've decided our team have pushed up. I mean, even though everyone has a mini-map, even though everyone can see exactly what's happening on the map at this moment in time, you can see all our heavies up in B1, B2. They've continued pushing, even though our other flank has collapsed. So I've come back to defend. We've got a T-150 who's back here defending as well, but the rest of our team have continued to advance. Even though we know there are at least 8 enemy tanks and they've just taken out the IS-6. So 8 enemy tanks on the 9-0 lines, and they're going to be advancing across. So their spawn is being defended by 2 medium tanks, or 2 TDs I should say. We've just killed the AT-15, now there's just a Ferdy up there. But I know that the enemy team are going to be advancing, so I've come back. I'm going to try and defend RT. I've got a full load in my clip. And we're just waiting for the enemy team to advance, while our team try to cap. So really, I haven't done much in this game yet, other than do 1,000 damage. There's their best player in the Type 62. And we bounce for 0 damage. Someone else tracks him, and the reload allows me to take him out on the second shot. So, don't think I've been spotted. I've got 6 cents, haven't been spotted. Quite surprised the Type 62 didn't spot me. But the enemy team, oh, full health AMX 5100, and again we bounce, and we hit his tracks for 0 damage. Now I probably should have gone for a reload before. I shouldn't have actually kept 2 shots in my clip. Now I've been spotted, I'm on a reload. You see the reload is actually quite good, 25 seconds. So you can deal out 900 damage every 25 seconds, and that's just assuming you can hit and pen all your shots. But this AMX 5100 is going to require 2 clips. I'm hoping my team can take him out. Thankfully, some of my friendlies have come back. So I'm running in, doing damage, but I can't one-hit clip him. Now I can. So we've managed to do, as I say, we hit all 4, penned all 4 shots on the AMX 5100. And that was 908 damage. And the only reason we got the kill was because friendlies also put fire into him. So again, I'm on a reload, 2 RTs still in play, so I'm constantly on the move, constantly trying to make myself a difficult target for RT. But we're up to 2.1k damage, so when you are damage dealing in this tank, the damage can build up very quickly. At least for other players. As I say, not so much for me. I tend not to play this tank as well as I see it driven by a lot of other players. Now, the GW Tiger P is thanking me for coming back to defend in chat. So he's thanking the few players who actually came back to defend, and as you can see, all the tanks that continued running north, all the tanks that tried to cap, they're now dead. So this is still a 50-50 game. I mean, we are winning 11-10, but it's still 50-50. And the enemy team have a very good WZ-111 driver and a very good T-37 driver left. So once again, I'm not going to be too aggressive. This tank doesn't have a lot of armor, and looking at the RT on the enemy team, both enemy RT could potentially one-hit kill me. If they land a shot in my engine deck, they can one-hit kill me. So, the WZ was last spotted north, and he's the guy I'm trying to spot. He's the guy I'm trying to find. And once again, you've got to bear in mind, if that WZ on the enemy team, he's on 3 kills, but if he's on full health, I can't one-hit clip him, and it's going to be very difficult for me to pen his tank from the front. So he was last spotted on the A line. I'm pushing up to try and spot him. We've got a T150 who's currently sitting in G3. And I've got a Cheeto who's backing me up. So I figure our RT is quite safe. They've got someone who can spot for them. They've got someone who can defend them. And our RT is relocating. They're following me north. So that's actually decent play from the RT. They're a little bit worried about that T37 that hasn't been spotted in a while. But again, I'm pushing. I'm trying to spot this WZ111. And I'm wondering if this guy is just camping hard. There's a very good chance he's still sitting in a bush in A7. And RT has just killed our T150. So now I know that the T37 has gone south. T37 has better view range than the T150 did. So the T150 died because he was spotted, and as soon as I go down to deal with it... There we go. Just bounced on the WZ, but I know the T37 is south. So I bounce on the front of the WZ, he gives me his side, I get one shot in, and now it's a question of do I reload or do I just keep 2 shots in the gun? Now the biggest worry for me here is RT, it's not the WZ. I know that I can outmaneuver the WZ, even though it's quite a fast and mobile heavy tank. There's the T37! And I've got no shots, I can't help, I can't help RT. But I don't want to engage this WZ because basically I can't one clip him. Unfortunately, the T37 takes out the Cheeto. I've got 2 shots left in my clip, and I should have gone for a reload, but I didn't. And there we go. I bounce. I've only got 1 shot left in my clip. And I bounce. Thankfully he bounces as well, but now I'm on a reload, and I'm really worrying about enemy RT. I need my RT to support me, but I'm hoping our Cheeto can actually kill the T37. But the WZ is coming for me. I'm still on a reload, and I'm so worried about getting killed by enemy RT. I'm really wondering why enemy RT haven't actually shot at me yet. So still on a reload. Still trying to move, and you can see that the GW Tiger P in chat is calling me an idiot. Apparently after thanking me for saving his life, I'm now an idiot. I don't know whether it's because I didn't come back to defend him. Okay, someone got a shot into the WZ. Enemy RT have missed. I've still got 3 shots left. I can clip him. But the reason I didn't attack is because my team were... bugger. So unfortunately, I ended up taking an engine fire. I bounced a shot. Now I'm on a reload. And our RT finally take him out. So really, I couldn't... In my mind, I couldn't deal with the WZ-111 without help. And I was worried about enemy RT. And as I say, unfortunately, our RT took exception to my decision making. Maybe he was right, maybe I was wrong, let me know in the comments. But regardless, I'm up to just short of 3k damage, 2 kills. And as you can see, I don't fire a lot of premium in this tank. Maybe it hurts me, maybe it doesn't. Whenever I complain to other players about how many times it's taken me, or how long it's taken me to get an ace in this tank, they said just load up on golds. That's what most people do, but I really don't fire a lot of gold ammo. So it's just the 2 enemy RT left. Unfortunately, again, I miss one of my shots. So just the SU-8 left. And he's behind me. So I don't know if I actually get any damage in here. Can't remember, it's been a while since I played the game. No, I don't. Okay, so that was a very, very average game in my opinion. I've certainly had better games than the T69. I only got 3 kills, I only did 3.2k damage, and as I say, in the games I set down prior to this one, I sat down to get the Ace Tanker, played 8 games in a row in this tank. I had bigger damage games and I had bigger kill games, so I really didn't think this was going to be an ace. So I was pleasantly surprised with the result, and it means I don't feel compelled to play the tank anymore. I'm not going to be selling it, it's definitely a keeper. I like the tank, it's just the tank and I don't get along. I do quite well in it, but just don't have monster games. And yeah, I can recommend the T69 if you haven't got it yet. But it's just one of these tanks that I can't get my head around playing correctly. I also picked up a high caliber, and in the comments here you can see, hey, it only took 211 games. There are very few tanks I need to play that many games in to get the Ace Tanker. Usually, in a lot of tanks, I pick up the Ace Tanker at my first, I don't know, 1 to 10 games. I mean, for example, on a recent stream, I picked up my Ace Tanker in the FV4202, and that took about 8 or 9 games, and yeah, T69 is just one of these cursed tanks that it took me a long time to get an Ace Tanker in, so I would probably say I haven't mastered this tank yet, and after 211 games I still don't feel as if I've mastered the art of the T69 yet. There is a much better T69 replay on my channel from a couple of weeks ago, and I do recommend checking it out if you want to see the T69 being an absolute beast. And I know that I've also received T69 games from other people. I think I've got about 4 or 5 T69 games that people have sent in to me that I haven't watched yet, but having seen the score, the end score results, they're actually very good. So I'll probably bring you more T69 footage sometime in the future and show you players playing the tank a heck of a lot better. But as I say, pleased with the result, 1340 XP, and in a game prior to this I ended up with 1312 XP, I believe, and it was a first class badge. So really I didn't think it was going to be a great game, and I thought it was fairly average, but XP gave me an Ace Tanker, 3208 damage, 3 kills, so not the biggest damage game, but it was quite nice, and not a lot of kills. 24 shots fired, 21 hits. The gun was being quite accurate, but again, that 171 millimeters or 173 millimeters of penetration meant I only penned 14 of the 21 shots. So the damage was nice, but I only penned 14. Received 3 hits and actually managed to bounce 2. The armor on the T69 isn't particularly good, but I did bounce 2 shots. Spotted 3, damaged 6, destroyed 3, and did almost 1500 assistance damage, which might have been what gave me the Ace Tanker. As I say, in a game prior to this, and I did have a screenshot, but unfortunately I can't find them. I ended up doing a lot more damage, but just didn't get the ace. So it may have been the assistance damage that helped me get over the top. 38,000 credits earned with a premium account. The gun, or the tank, is a moneymaker if you're not spamming heat and if you have a decent game. So yeah, it's an okay credit earner. And 2010 XP with a premium account. No times 2, as I say, I sat down one evening, I wasn't able to stream, played this tank for 8 games in a row. I was determined to sit down. If it was going to take 20 or 30 games to get the ace, I was going to do it, but thankfully the ace popped up after just 8 games in the tank. But yeah, the T69 and I don't get along. As I say, I like the tank, I do quite well in the tank, but I just haven't mastered it. I just don't think the T69 suits my own personal playstyle, but that's just me. But anyhow, there we go. Happy to have finally brought you the T69 Ace Tanker. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.